We're not going to make this any different. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again this Friday night or Friday early morning in Japan. Is it still night? Yep, yep.
Yeah, no, it's morning,
Yep.
12 midday in
Well,
Japan.
oh, 12 midday. Okay. All right. Very good. So a quick review of what we did last week, which was about moderation. That's what we talked about because our human nature is so that we love to concentrate on one or two things and not necessarily create a balance in our life. So I'm going to pull up the moderation lesson plan and share my screen. And let's see, it's asking me to share the whole screen. All right. So this is what we did last week. We went through the moderation again. We talked about if any of us, there were nobody around to tell us what to do. If we had a free life, we might just concentrate on one or two things, which is not healthy. We need to create a balance and moderation between a lot of different aspects of life. Whether when you're going shopping for to a supermarket for food items, or we had a timetable in here, which we didn't do last week, but that's on individuals to do it. Some people have really big issue with managing their time. They just cannot manage their time. They're always running behind. And of course, the topic that's kind of dear to our program is managing our money, which we talked about. Basically, there are four different things that we can do with our money. First and most important thing is to think about our life necessities: food, water, clothing, shelter, and health. And it's amazing, I don't know, amazing, but so sad that many people don't think about that. They prefer having the latest cell phone or a bigger car or a bigger house or whatever that is that they want. And yet at the end of the month, they don't have enough for their life necessities. So we need to create a balance between spending, sharing, investing, and saving. So once we secure our personal life necessities, then hopefully we can turn our faces toward our neighbors because there are so many people throughout the world that need help. This pandemic probably has brought that issue up into the forefront a little bit more than before. But even before the pandemic, throughout the history, throughout the world, there's been so many people that need our help. So sharing even little that we have, and it's not just about money. Sharing and investing is about our time, our talent, our expertise, our smile, a hug, a phone call, a text, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be necessarily money. And then, as part of creating that balance, is that investing our different resources into our own future, whether it's for college, helping our community elevate, if you're thinking of starting a business or something. And then, lastly, after all, we're humans, we want things. I need to make this change. So we want whatever it is that we want. We want the latest cell phone. We want a bigger car, a bicycle, toy, whatever that is in our age appropriate. Uh, but creating a balance between these four categories, that's what a lot of people have issue with. Part of it is, as we will see, and we have talked about, is because they're not keeping track of what they're doing. They're running their car without looking at the gas gauge, and it's guaranteed that it's going to run out of gas at a certain point of time. So that's what we did last week. Let's see who had a chance to share what we learned with our friends, co-workers, other family members who are not part of this group. Um, any brave soul who wants to unmute and tell us if you had a chance to talk to someone? Either unmute yourself or put it in the chat, please, before we start calling people. You know that we will start calling. Nari, I think it's your turn to call upon someone because everybody's being quiet. I have something in the chat. What's in the chat? Okay. You want to call upon someone to see who they
Let's see. Well, Daniel always has something to share with us. Do you have something today, Daniel, that you wanted to share with us from last week's lesson?
I was listening to a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad with my mom, and it talked about the difference between liabilities and assets. liabilities are like really expensive cars, and assets are like things that earn you money over time without having to work there.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a great book for someone your age to read, for someone almost any age to read.
Yeah.
That's really cool that you are getting that knowledge at this age.
Daniel, you want to come teach this class?
Exactly. That's why I picked Daniel. He always has something to tell us.
Yeah,
Here.
exactly.
Okay, great.
All right.
So do we want to get into responsibility?
Sounds good. Sounds good, Nari. So you're the facilitator for tonight. You gonna share, or do you want me to share screen? What do you want to do?
Yeah, if you'd like to share, that would be great.
That
And
doesn't
then I
matter.
can just kind of talk through. I did enter a few things in to help us out because we have a lot to cover in today's lesson. And, we do have limited time. And I went in and like Alex said, only a couple of people had entered anything into today's lesson. And our homework was to go in and list some responsibilities. So I did go in and put a couple of samples, but this is a great time in the chat. If you want to maybe list a responsibility that you have, maybe that you didn't get a chance to put in, but you wanted to. And the question I'd like to ask first of all this week is, what does it mean to be responsible? That's anyone. You can type it in chat or you can raise your hand. But what does it mean to be responsible when you think about that word? Let's see. It's hard because you can't really see people. Audrey, did you have an example for us of what it means to be responsible? See, I'll need you to unmute if you want to say something. Let's see. Got someone in the chat. Oh,
Nothing.
yeah, Alex put in the
Nothing in
chat.
the chat yet.
Thanks, Alex. Yes.
I'm gonna stop sharing so we can see the screen.
So we can see the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, why don't we ask Paula? She always has something when we call
Okay,
her.
great. Yeah, Paula, what does it mean? What do you think it means to be responsible, Paula? Give us an example of what that means.
Wow, everybody's quiet tonight.
I know. Got silent.
Wait, did you ask me a question? Sorry, I couldn't really talk since like my house was really loud, so I had to like get everyone to stop talking. So
Oh, no
so
problem. Paula,
yeah.
we were just asking from you, from your perspective, what does it mean to be responsible? That's the treasure that we're talking about today.
Okay, so I think responsibility is like doing the duties you are assigned to and like taking responsibility for your own actions if you make a mistake.
Okay.
So
That's awesome.
yeah. And being like independent in like decision making and like being capable of like being trusted. So like for people to trust you, you need to be responsible.
Great. That sums it up really well. Ken also put something in the chat for us. Being responsible is to complete obligations that you're required to do in various areas of your life. Okay, so two answers that really do help us think more about what it means to be responsible. Last week, Alex gave us a question. That was, what are two periods in our life with no responsibility? So that's when everyone who had a chance to think about that or has a suggestion for the answer to that, type that in the chat, because I'd love to hear what everyone came up with for that one. You've had a week to think about it. What are two periods of our lives when we have no responsibilities?
Okay. Jackie says when we were born. Yep, early ages.
Okay.
Or
And Tabia?
Yeah, I think the only time we don't have responsibilities in our life should be from the time we were born till 5 and the day we are lying on our deathbed. I think that's when we really don't have responsibilities.
Don't have responsibility. Yeah, Jackie seems to have said pretty much the same thing. Alex, were those the answers you were expecting?
Actually, it's not exactly when we die. It's even before we die. I mean, as we get older, there are some people, particularly that, like if they have Alzheimer's or dementia, or they cannot do their own thing. So there are some, and this is what when we do this in schools, the students always get a kicker that it's very possible that we go back to diapers. My father happened last, I think, 3, 4 years of his life. He had problems that he couldn't take care of himself, so he had to wear diapers. So those are the only 2 times. Yes, early on, maybe probably a couple of the first year or so. I mean, our boys, we had them pick up their toys as soon as they started moving around and doing things.
Sure.
So we didn't even wait until 5.
Yeah. So kind of at the beginning and the end of life are the 2 times when you have the least responsibility. That middle is there's lots of responsibilities in the middle, right? Okay. So you can type this in the chat. So everyone should have something to type in the chat on this one. What are some of the different responsibilities that we have in life? And everyone can just type in one and we'll probably get a good list right away. Just what are just some typical responsibilities that we have in life?
Maybe to be specific, around the house.
It could be, yeah, in your daily life, responsibilities in your home, responsibilities to other people, responsibilities in your workplace, responsibilities in your social life, just different responsibilities.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
you ought to get quite a list pretty quickly if everyone just types in one thing.
I'm going to share my screen so we can give some examples.
So, and I started typing some in, some typical ones that come up in our classes, because I knew we'd be short on time and I didn't want to spend it typing. Some things are as simple as our chores around the house, like washing dishes or washing our car. You know, some are every day, some are once a week, some are once a month. Things like feeding our dogs. If you're one of our younger students, doing homework might be one of your responsibilities on a daily or few times a week basis. Paying bills, something that might only be once a month, but it is a regular responsibility for those that are older and responsible for a household. And so this chart was put together so that you could list your responsibilities, and basically you could think about which responsibilities you know you have on a given day. And then in the actual, you can mark whether you actually completed those responsibilities as planned, or if maybe you've got to do some catch up, right? Ken reminds us that we have responsibilities to provide for our family. And Jackie says, taking care of our family, including lots of chores. Hopefully we can divide some of those chores up amongst the family, right, Jackie? So mom doesn't have to do all of it, we're hoping. Let's see. So what do our responsibilities have to do with money? We're going to get back to our Mind Treasures main topic. What are some of our responsibilities that have to do with money? And the one that I put on here was paying bills. What are some other responsibilities that have to do with money?
I can type something in there.
Say again, Alex. Oh, good. You're going to put some other ones in there.
Yeah.
Alex is adding saving.
Saving money, because I think that's something that doesn't come naturally to us. Saving money is like we're not born with it. We have to develop that habit. Some have it and some don't have it. So,
and Alex, you bring up a great point. When we think about responsibilities, a lot of times we may not even think of saving money as a responsibility. We might think of paying bills as a responsibility, but we don't. And if we aren't in the habit, if we haven't gone through something like Mind Treasures or some other type of training, we may not automatically consider that one of our responsibilities. And usually when we have responsibilities, we're responsible for something or responsible to someone. So saving money, what kind of responsibility is that? Why is that a responsibility? Why is saving money one of the things we would consider a responsibility?
Maybe we can call upon someone
Yes,
and get somebody else's voice in here. Let's see.
get someone else's voice.
Who's
Uh,
who's
I haven't heard from, I don't think we've heard from Thomas, and we haven't heard from Christine. Got a couple folks we haven't heard from.
Yep. Thomas, would you like to unmute yourself and say something about saving?
Well, what's the question, sir?
So the question is, what is saving money a responsibility, or is it something that, oh, if I have some extra left at the end of the week or end of the month, that's what's considered saving? Is that something that we plan for?
Well, I think since you keep money, keep your wallet is saving or a pig account. I don't have a comment. Sure.
Okay, that's good one, yeah, because while we plan for our daily life necessities, food, water, clothing, shelter, and health, but there are things that come up that we don't necessarily plan for, or we don't do them every month or every week. So here's, for example, let's see, doing homework. If you're a student, most likely we got to do homework every night of the week, right? So this is how we do this sheet in here. But then saving is something that we do maybe once a month, or paying bill. Maybe we do it once a week on Sundays or something like that. But saving money is something that we have to plan for it, because we're not just accustomed to it.
And when you think about saving money, that's a responsibility that you have to your family, but it's also a responsibility you have to your future self. So yourself today has the responsibility of saving money for your future self, whether it's saving money so that your future self can buy a house, or saving money so that your future self can retire without being worried about money, or saving money so that if there is some emergency, there's money there for the future. So when you save money, you're actually being responsible for your future. And so that's something to think about, because a lot of times we kind of have this negative thought about money, that saving, oh, it's keeping me from doing something, from spending today. But a lot of times if we think about it, it's by saving money, you're actually being responsible for yourself in the future. Maybe it won't feel quite so painful. All righty. So we want to move on, just so that we can get into some of the other things here. Because we have these different responsibilities, and what we want to consider is our responsibilities aren't always as simple as, we've got two examples here. For instance, feeding the dog. Sounds real quick and easy, but one of the things we teach in our classes is that when we're being responsible, that means that we actually try to do something completely. We try to make sure we understand the full description of what we're responsible for. And we may have to confirm that if we're a child, we may have to confirm with our parents. When they say clean your room, what do they mean? Or on our job, when our supervisor gives us an assignment, we may need to clarify. Even before we take a job, we want to read the job description and make sure we understand what the responsibilities are for that job. So when we talk about something as simple as feeding the dog, does someone want to describe for us, any of you with pets, what is entailed in that, as opposed to just the 2 or 3 words to say feed the dog? What's entailed in actually completing that task completely and doing it with excellence?
Taking care of them, yeah.
Javier, you want to tell us what does it entail? If you have a pet, what are the different things? If you have a dog, what are the different things that we have to do for the dog?
I think having a pet doesn't necessarily mean just feeding it. It requires taking care of it. Because a pet is something that lives at home with you. It's just like a child. You have to treat it like a child. And you have to express some love onto it, and you have to teach it how to know when to do certain things and when not to. So something that you stay at home with is treated as a child. So it requires more than just giving it food. You need to bathe it sometime. You need to make sure that it's bathed. You need to make sure that it's taken to the veterinary for treatments. You need to make sure that sometimes you can wake up and you notice that it's not active. You have to find out what is actually wrong with it, because you expect it to be active. It's supposed to demonstrate its natural quality as an animal. When it sees you approaching, it needs to shake its tail. It needs to do something to prove it is alive. And when sometimes you notice it's inactive, it's a call for questioning. So it doesn't. It requires a lot to deal with them too. So it's much responsibility staying at home with a cat or a pet, if you can name it.
Very good.
Okay, great. All right.
Yeah, but I think many children, they want dog because they see their desire is to have a dog or a pet or something like that, but they don't necessarily recognize all the work that needs to go with that, with keeping that. And then once they have the pet, it's like, I have to walk the dog, I have to take it, I have to play with it. I didn't sign up for all this stuff. So understanding, that's why we're doing this exercise, so before, because as we grow older, we take on additional responsibilities, and not necessarily think about how we're going to take care of those. Okay.
And that's where we need to make sure we understand what we're saying yes to. So when we say, sure, I'll do that, when someone says, oh, will you walk my dog for me while I'm out of town? And you've got to make sure you understand what that actually means and what all is entailed with that, so that you can actually meet the responsibility, right? So make sure you know what you're saying yes to.
Maybe I got a message that Paula has a puppy. Maybe Paula can tell us.
Okay.
Paula, what did we miss about taking care of our puppy? And then somebody can think about paying the bill. So if one of the adults probably can think about. Paula, you want to share with us?
For having a puppy, like you also need to train him.
Oh yeah.
Like spend lots of time with him.
That's right.
Because like puppies need a lot of attention, so you need to train them. Yeah.
Yep. How many times has your puppy made a mess inside the house?
Like 3-4 times. Not a lot, because we always take him out.
That's good. But that's a responsibility. If you don't take that responsibility to make sure you're taking him out regularly, then you're gonna have the consequences of a mess you got to clean up. So sometimes
I have to take him out regularly.
right, if we don't take care of our responsibilities that we know of, sometimes it can cause a worse problem. If you have a car, if you don't do the little things to take care of it, and then you could end up with a bigger problem that you've got to deal with because you didn't take care of the small responsibilities. So that's something to think about when it seems like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. It could cause other problems later. So who had a chance to think through what are the steps to paying bills? I mean, it's easy for us to say, oh, you got to pay your bills, but what goes into that?
I think we need to call upon someone, one of the adults.
You have to call on someone.
Yeah, they're all quiet. That's the thing.
We'll probably Daniel, you're off the hook on this one. We're not going to ask you how to pay bills.
Although he might be the best one to answer, I'm sure.
Exactly. He tends to have good answers.
Why don't we ask, who do you have in mind?
I was going to ask Ken.
Okay. Let's see. Ken, you got to unmute yourself.
Yes. Let's see. Unmute.
What is that question again, please?
We were talking about how, we made a list of responsibilities, and we were talking about sometimes we need to know what are all the steps or what's included to make sure we completed our responsibility completely. So for instance, paying bills, just off the top of your head, when someone says paying bills, what all is involved with that?
Well, you should have a system where you have in most cases, some form of calendar reminder as to when each of the bills are due, but probably the most effective way, and I've learned this in some of my other financial coach training this week, is very faithfully, you should have your spouse or your living partner, whomever that may be, set aside a consistent minimum of 15 minutes and not much longer than that, because if you make it longer, people have a tendency to kind of want to shy away from it, where you hit all the high financial obligations that need to be concluded between then and the following week. This particular author I was consulting, he suggested on Sunday to look at everything that you have to do up until the following Sunday. And once again, if you make it too long and detailed, you know, in most households, talking about money, especially if money's tight, it's not the most favorite subject to talk about.
Right.
But if you keep things organized and streamlined and get a consistent system going, 15 minutes ought to be, well, you know, don't forget Wednesday, the MasterCard bills due. Friday, make sure the lighting bill's paid. With a consistent system and about a 15-minute discussion every week, most of the responsibilities in the various steps of meeting financial obligations should fall in line. Communication is the key.
Okay, so one thing I heard was you need to know when they're due so that you can make sure that you pay them on time. And
Correct.
making sure, as Alex typed in here, you have to make sure then that there's money in your account prior to that due date, right? And then whether it's writing a check and mailing it out, you know, old-fashioned way, or whether it's clicking the right buttons online and getting it paid, sooner or later you have to take that action of getting the money out of your account and to whoever the creditor is. Having that consultation with the other person who's holding you accountable, or that you're accountable with, your spouse, your partner, whoever.
When I get my financial coaching practice really up and running, because I'm combining this training with some of the other programs I'm going through, I have available a spreadsheet that along the top of the spreadsheet, it says what days during the month you're getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has what days, what your various financial obligations are, and what day that particular obligation is due. So if you use a tool like that to your maximum efficiency,
Yes.
hopefully the communication is maximum and the tension within the family, in particularly among the parents in most cases, is minimized because you've maximized the efficiency of your system.
Excellent. So, okay, so we've done 2 examples of responsibilities and kind of going through those in detail. Did anyone else have a responsibility that they had entered that they wanted to share? Like I said, I know there were only a couple of people who had entered this spreadsheet. So I just wanted to give an opportunity if there was. Otherwise, we will keep moving on because we really do have a lot to cover today. And,
just before we move on,
sure.
you know, on paying bills, it is such an important thing that unfortunately a lot of people, a lot of adults are not paying attention to. So we're very happy that our young ones, our youth are here. So learning this, even though that you're not paying any bills right now, you're not responsible for paying, but there are many things you can do to prepare yourself to get into that habit. That's exactly why we have created these tables. This table here, the one that the time management that we used for last week for our time, the register book. These are all the tools that we need to get comfortable with and develop these habits, because as we grow older, bills are not going to be just one. I mean, some of them are going to be easy, like rent, phone, and things like that. But as our lives get more complicated, we have more and more financial responsibilities that we need to keep track of. And unfortunately, it's just impossible to keep it in our head. It just does not. Nobody, maybe Albert Einstein could do that, but I know I cannot do it. So as Ken mentioned, having our financial obligations written down in something, there are many tools that can be used. It's so important.
Exactly. And
I think it's very important too, as children get older, maybe hit the high school level, if mom and dad are having a hard time with bills, to include children in the response, in the discussion. And also, once again, when the money is tight, things like birthdays, vacations, Christmas, you know, kids get to the point that he's in high school, say, hey, we would love to buy you this $500 gift for Christmas, but look at this. We got this much money coming in, and we got this much money that we owe just to keep the house in our, have the house to live in, the car to drive, lights and heat in the house. And, so we can't buy you the $500 gift because every month we only got $50 left at the end of the month. So we're going to have to enjoy our time together this year's Christmas as a family. And maybe when we get our finances under control, we can buy you your $500 gift as our celebration that, hey, we got everything under control and things are better now. And thank you for waiting we didn't celebrate the holidays, but here's your $500 gift, 8 or 9 months too late or something that conveying the kid that money is not an endless stream. Because I'll tell you what, my mom and dad I was born with a handicap, and I think that's the way my mom and dad felt sorry for me. Whenever I went to a baseball game or something, I had the best seats. If I asked them to get something, when I was in second grade, I used to get a brand new toy every Friday just because it was Friday for no other reason. Well, as I got older into life and I started making some decisions, I got a sister that's 12 years older than me, and she used to shake her head and say, Mom and Dad aren't giving you a realistic upbringing. Well, it took me to being almost 35 years old to find that out. I ended up going through a bankrupt business and a divorce and all kinds of issues, but it's very important to let kids express their feelings about money at a very early age. And there too, when you tell them we can't take a nice vacation this year, how do you feel about it? How about if we just enjoy our time together as a family and go to a nice city park every Sunday to enjoy some of the nice things we have here locally that are cheaper, and as opposed to going out to eat, we'll pack a nice picnic basket. Instill in the kids' attitude very early that every once in a while you got to cut back on things to make life go.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, thank you. The other thing especially for our younger members of the class, doing something like this can help you know when you're done. So, when your parents say, go clean your room, sitting down with them and asking them, when you say go clean my room, what does that mean? Does it just mean make my bed? Does it mean make my bed, pick up the clothes and put them away, dust or vacuum? So, or when they say go wash the dishes, does that mean, wash the dishes and put them away? So make sure you get some definition on your chores and your responsibilities. And that way, when you're done, and you don't have to wonder, well, did I do what they wanted me to do or not? So this will help you kind of remember that when you're given responsibilities. Make sure you get the full description of what that responsibility is. So we're going to move on to the third piece of this worksheet today. And this one is really cool. And definitely, I'd love to see some thoughts in the chat. This one is about our responsibility to others. And so what we want to know about in this one is what aspects of our home, school, or neighborhood environment do we not like and wish it could be changed or improved? And in the classroom settings with the children, we get some great ideas, whether it's things they want to improve in their school or things they want to improve in their neighborhoods. And so I put a couple of challenges there, things like, excess litter that we might see, in our community, or graffiti we might see in our community. So we wanted some ideas of things that we know are a challenge, but they really could be changed if a few people got together to change it. So not the, world peace type issues that maybe no one in this room is going to fix this week, but things that are actually manageable and doable, and really stopping and thinking about that. So let's see.
So while everybody's thinking, the way this fits into our overall process of this course is that if you remember, when we filled out that sheet at the beginning, I'm gonna go back in there, there was a question that we talked about that if we really do everything correctly, we don't have to worry about our life necessities. So I'm going to go back in here
Yes.
because in all the sacred writings and all the spiritual writings, it says that if we do everything right, God will provide for us. So if we don't have to worry about our life necessities, then what is it that we have to worry about? So that's why there was this question in here: what keeps me up at night? Are there issues, challenges I can help improve? So the idea is that if we can get to a point where we don't have to worry about our life necessities, which means that we have created financial independency through, we will see through mostly through passive income. What are some of the challenges that we can tackle in our society, starting with our immediate neighborhood, and then maybe going beyond that? So that's what our program, Mind Treasures, has become actually, because you're all enjoying this 12-week series at no cost, because we don't have to worry about, we don't have to charge people in order to make a living. So that's how we can provide this education. So let's see, do we have anyone? I'm going to go back to the other sheet.
Well, I think it's important too to know that if you give to the community and take pride in the community and neighborhood and where you live, and you go the extra mile to help, at some point in your life, if there's a crisis in your life, hopefully people will remember that you came through in the community or neighborhood's time of need, and now that you're in a time of need, hopefully, if people are decent, they'll come back and they'll help you in your time of need.
So I think, Nari, we need to call upon some people to share.
Yes. And let's see. Have we heard from Christina today?
Never. She's never opened up her mic. I don't know what's going on.
Christina, I wanted to hear what you thought about this whole idea of coming up with challenges, or if there was a challenge in your community or at your school, or just that you could think of, a local challenge that you thought people in the neighborhood might be able to get together and address.
What Christina is thinking about that. Daniel, we haven't heard that. Daniel is actually kind of quiet tonight. Daniel, you're feeling okay?
Well, he gave us the great opening statement, so he could drop the mic after that.
I guess that's what it is.
Okay.
And everybody's exhausted tonight.
Yeah. It's been a
Hi.
lot.
I can talk.
Okay.
So one of the responsibilities to others is like cleaning up things. Like, for example, you do a birthday party and it's like you organized it. So when people leave, you have to clean it up.
Excellent.
Like you take responsibility to clean it up.
Very good.
Okay.
That's another good one.
But one question I usually ask in the classroom from our students is that what is it that they don't like about their school? So since we have a few youth in here, what is it that you guys don't like? I mean, obviously right now it's all virtual, but when you were going into your classrooms, was there something that you wish it was better, that you could help change? Paula, anything in your school that you wish you could change?
In my school,
Yep.
like, I think I don't like, is it the stuff that I think should be changed?
Sure. Or something that could be improved at your school.
Like, there are like so little space to eat. Like, people have to like sit on the floors or go outside in like Semiamo, because like I go to Semiamo and like there's like a lot of people there. There are like thousands of people there, so not everyone can like eat inside. And because of the virus, like there's only a specific amount of people to a table, and with like if you have like large friend groups, then it's kind of hard to find a place to eat, because there are only like 8 people per table, and then there are only like a few tables, so people have to sit outside and it's like really cold outside, so I don't like that.
Or you can move down to San Diego. Weather is always nice here. We always have lunch outside. Most of the schools have benches outside that they eat because it's always nice here. Just kidding.
I was about to say, Alex, and then we'll have the challenge of too many people. So, okay. Now, is there something you could think of that would be a solution to that issue? Paula?
Like a solution for that?
Sure.
I honestly don't know. Like, because like we don't have that much space. Like our school is actually pretty big, but we use it for other purposes. So like, I think they could like create like spaces. They can make classrooms into like eating areas. I don't know.
Maybe, okay, so maybe expand, use some of the other spaces for eating areas at different times. Are there different lunch sessions so that maybe, you know, some people take lunch from 11 to 12 and others from 12 to 1, or so they could have different time periods so they could use the same space, but rotate the students going through it?
Yeah, I think the seniors, they go home to eat, but there are like so many people at our school that like even without the seniors, there's like not that much space.
Okay. So that might be something that, is there like a student government or something that maybe you could go and meet with and discuss
Yeah.
the challenges and some potential solutions?
Yeah.
So you might be able to find out what kinds of solutions are available.
Mhm.
You can be the change, Paula.
Okay.
Okay. We're gonna want you to report back to us on this.
Another thing, Paula, you might want to look at is the things that you feel could be improved. Ask other students and other people affiliated with the school if they feel it's a problem and how they feel it could be improved. That way everybody's giving their own input.
Mhm.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you for bringing that topic up for us to use as an example for our discussion. Okay. What we probably want to do now before we run out of time is, Alex, are we doing the register book? Because I looked at it and I didn't see very many register books done. So I
Not much. I mean, we just kind of reviewed at the end. So we can still do something for another 5 minutes.
Okay, great.
And then we'll do the register book, the weekly income and expenses, and then introduce next week.
Okay. Is that enough? The video is longer than 5 minutes, though.
Yeah, video. I'll send a link to it.
Okay.
I think we can still expand on this.
Okay.
One of the reasons that we have this exercise in here is because often we think that, oh, this is not my problem. This is not my responsibility. We see things that's happening in our school or in our neighborhood. It's like, I cannot make any changes. So I'm just going to leave it alone. But each one of us has a voice. Yes, we may not be able to make it a change, but at least we can try. We can do something, especially when we get together with other people, with friends, and ideas come up. And it doesn't have to be anything big. Like Nari said, we don't need to think about world peace at this point, but school problem, that's one thing. So from our adults who hasn't said much, actually, Jackie has been quiet. I mean, she's been putting stuff on the chat. Let's ask Jackie, because I know she will talk. Jackie, what do you think? A challenge or something in your area, whether in Vancouver or back home in China?
Actually, I think that's a very good question for me because seriously, honestly speaking, I always think about my own family and my friends. I mean, that's networking is kind of like around my family. In terms of the community, this is my first time to think of what's wrong with my community. But from my point of view, I'm thinking, oh, my living area is pretty good and everyone here is nice. I didn't see any problem. This is why I feel, oh, must be something we can do more, but I haven't found it yet. Yeah, maybe I haven't totally involved this community. Yeah.
Well, you know what, Jackie? It could be that
Mhm.
you will have a lot to tell us in the thankfulness lesson, because maybe really maybe there aren't a lot of challenges, and that's actually something to be thankful for, that there aren't a lot of real issues that are plaguing you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could
The only thing I'm thinking about, I mean, besides of this stuff, I have been thinking about for quite time. It's because I'm living in the townhouse, and we have a strata. And last year we found something wrong with this strata, and I did do something on behalf of some of the people who are not satisfied with what they're doing. I'm still doing this, but like I mentioned before, and from my perspective, I pretty much focused my family and my living area very, very close to me, not to like, okay, the big community. This is why I said this is a very good question. Let me think about, okay, how I can involve this community more. I need to open my mind, open my eyes to see things, I mean, more openly. Yeah.
Sure. Now, after this discussion, you might notice some things that you wouldn't have noticed before.
Yeah.
Got it. That's great. And that would be awesome. Like, maybe that can be part of our homework for next week. If when we ask for when we do the review at the beginning, if anyone notices a challenge, and hopefully maybe even a solution, or we can talk about a solution that they hadn't noticed before, bring it next week, and that can be part of our opening review from this lesson.
Challenges in what way?
Ken, what's the question?
Challenge. She says challenges and possible solutions. Challenges in what area?
Whatever you notice, because Jackie was saying that during this discussion, she realized she hadn't noticed a lot of challenges in her community, but now she might notice that there are areas that she can be a part of improving. And so I said, I kind of put that out there as a challenge to everyone, that during this next week, you might be more sensitive to seeing things that you didn't see before. And so at the start of next week's lesson, you can bring any examples that you did notice during this week and potential solutions to those challenges that you notice.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And challenges, I mean, it can be, sometimes we may need to get out of our own neighborhood to even find, not that our own neighborhoods don't have, but people's receptivity to even talk about. I know, like in our street, we live in a house, and in our street, neighbors don't talk to each other unless if there's something happening. But I have found at least for me, I have found my international family on virtual series, because when we do this, we get together, we talk about. I know one challenge that it's definitely out there and probably has come even more forward is education of our children. While our children maybe have a environment that they receive enough education, but there are many families and communities in every city. I'm not just talking about San Diego. I'm sure Vancouver has it too. Everywhere has it. Particularly with the pandemic, that now kids are attending schools virtually, that has been a lot more difficult. I know there are a lot of talks about teenagers having depression because they don't, while it might be easy for us to sit in front of a computer all day, it's not that easy for teenagers, and then younger ones, parents. So a lot of students are falling behind on schoolwork. So depression, anxiety for young ones, even for older ones. If there are elder people that we can help, we just have to get involved in the community. And that's how Mind Treasure started. My wife and I basically wanted to help people. And now look at it. Now it's a international program that we do these workshops regularly. And we have a lot of people that are coming to help. It's not just us doing this. there are a lot of people that are working on implementing this program in their local community. So it could be a lot of different things.
Well, I think it's important too, like at a very early age, when the children, especially when children start getting into story problems in their mathematics classes, to give it a monetary perspective and teach them how story problems that you make up, how they apply to real life situations. And then also, they say there's over 50 games available, either electronic or board games that have to do with various topics of money and finance. Well, when we all have very fond memories of playing childhood games with our family when we were a kid, but if parents are willing to take it a step further and not only play the game, but teach them how concepts presented in the game relate to real life and money, in the long run, the child will have, will very much benefit from that.
Thanks, Ken. And that, Alex, segues us right into our register book, right?
Yep.
Where we can apply the concepts that we're talking about in Mind Treasures with the register book, and hopefully get everyone during this class in the habit of tracking when money comes in, what they're going to do with that money. So whenever money comes in, we make a decision. We might not realize it because we may spend it so fast we don't even notice, but we're always making a decision every time money comes in with whether we're going to spend it, whether we're going to use it for someone else's benefit by sharing either the money itself or using that money to do something that helps someone else. We may be investing that money in our future or the future of our family, or we might be saving that money for some purchase that we want to make eventually. And so every time we acquire any money, we're making this decision. We just might not sit down and think it through because we might spend it so quickly that we don't even realize that we made the decision.
Actually, I want to do something here before this. So a question for particularly our youth. Hopefully, adults know this. I'm gonna make this 5. So if I save 5 today, but look at this for our youth. So our interest continuously going up. So first time I put in $5 in my save and I got 25 cents. I got another 5, then I got 50, then I put 10 and I got $1. If I put another 5 in here, so how is it that the interest continues to be more every time when I put money? So imagine that this is my bank account. Daniel, do you know the answer to this? Why is it that my interest keeps going up? Why is it that the bank giving me more and more interest, even though that like this time I put less, I deposited less in my savings account? Anybody knows? Any of our youth? Paula, do you know why?
Because they spend less.
Yeah, but shouldn't I get less if the first time I put $5, I got 25 cents in interest. Now I put $5 and I'm getting 130. Shouldn't I also get again 25 cents in interest?
And you
I think,
Come
can I
back.
say,
We
can I
lost
say?
Tabia? Oh,
I
sorry.
think the the more you continue to save, the more your interest is forced to increase.
Okay.
Yes.
Paula, you were gonna say something. I unmuted you. Sorry.
Oh, I don't really know, but I think it's like, for example, if you start with like $50 and you earn like 2% like interest, and then you keep like waiting. So it's like the longer you have it for, like then your interest will like increase. I don't know. And then you don't like, without investing like the interest that you earn, just like wait, then maybe you'll have more interest. I don't know.
Okay, you're very close.
Yeah, that's very close. Now, Daniel, I think you were trying to answer and then we lost your sound. Were you saying something?
Yeah, I think he's having difficulty with his computer today. So,
Oh,
as Paula mentioned, yeah, that's how it works. So the interest is always given on the balance, not on how much we deposit, but how much balance we keep in our bank. So remember, we are giving, our bank is very generous. We're giving 5%. So we are always taking the balance and then multiplying that by 5%. So that's how we got 5 times 5 is 25 cents. And we're doing it only on the whole dollar here just to make it easy. And then we multiply 10 by 5 and we got 50 cents. Then here we multiply 20 by 5 and that's how we get $1. And then 26 by 5 and that's how we get. So the more you keep in your bank, the more interest you get. It's regardless of how much money you put in there, it's how much you keep in there.
yeah. So for those that always wondered, that's the difference between simple interest and compound interest. It's compounding on the interest that was already paid. Okay.
So for our adults, oops, sorry, go ahead, Nari.
No, go on.
So for our adults, hopefully you are starting to develop the habit of keeping track of your weekly or monthly income and expenses. So we have the sheet again that you can do that, or you can use other apps or whatever you have. But as we were talking about today, our responsibility for paying our bills, this is so important to make sure that we have it recorded somewhere. And then down the road, as years go by, it actually is very nice. We have for our family finances, we have them for the past 30 years. So it's kind of nice to see. It's not about how much we spend on food and things like that, but overall, it's like this is how much money came to our household, and then this was our expenses. This is how much we saved. It's really, at least for me, I enjoy looking at that stuff to see how our family has grown over the past 30 years. So for adults, make sure that you do keep track of your income and expenses somehow on something. Not in our head because that doesn't necessarily work. All right. Now should we go introduce next week's lesson?
Yes, I think that's a good idea. We're just about
Yep.
on the time.
So our next week's,
And,
go ahead. You want to do it?
so yeah, Jackie had put compound interest. Okay.
Compound interest.
I just realized in the chat, so I think we covered that.
Yeah, and then we'll talk more about it because now that the register book has a little bit more, we'll talk more about it next week. So next week is about accountability, which is a continuation of responsibility, and actually responsibility and accountability are foundations of our borrowing system or our credit system, which is used in many countries. I know it's used in US, Canada. Tabia, is it used in Japan? Probably it is, right? They use credit cards heavily in Japan.
Yeah,
Okay.
very heavily. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So any place that use particularly credit cards or borrowing, I mean, borrowing is all around the world in different ways. So we probably will not get too much into this activity one because that is about how we develop our community. This is a continuation of the challenges in our community. So that's something that you can look at and see what is it that already exists in your community. So for like nutrition, different types of supermarkets, where you live, is there enough access to supermarket easy? Is housing readily available? Are there a lot of homeless people? Where do we go shopping for clothes? The different stores that are, and so forth. So you list out all the different, these are locations of how it is. And our goal is to improve our community. Our communities, our society, our civilization is always improving and moving forward. And then in this part, you can think about what is it that does not exist in your community. Often in schools, kids talk about the skate park, or as Paula mentioned, their school needs a bigger place because it is cold in Vancouver. They cannot sit outside. So they need to come up with a way of, so this would be continuation of talking, consulting with other friends on how we do it. So we're going to, next week, we're going to get heavily into borrowing. It's like, what is borrowing for? What are the different type of advancements that we do? So let's say, for example, higher education, college education is something that it's an advancement. For that, most often we need to borrow money. Do we have to, we'll talk about collateral. If we borrow money, do we have to pay interest? In US, yes, definitely. So, and then there should be a space. So there are room for 2 different advancements that you can list in here. And then we get into our credit systems that's common between US and Canada. We'll talk more in details to that.
Okay.
Nari, we're right at the end. Anything from you? I can.
So for the homework for next week though, yes, we definitely want you to go in here. But the other critical thing for next week's homework, Alex, is to go into, is it Credit Karma we want them to go into?
We'll share that next week.
Oh, so you'll send out a message reminding everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk about it, and then
Because you'll send a link and all that,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. All righty.
Yeah, we'll
Then I think that's everything. Are there any final questions or comments? Anybody have any questions from this lesson? Any final comments from this lesson? Okay, great.
I think we're
You
good.
guys were a great class.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. We will
Have a
see
good
you.
week.
Yep. We'll see you next week. Don't forget.